Gamers! I'm Jason.
I'm Julie.
And today on Dice and Dragons, we are going to be reviewing 2 expansions for Tokyo Sidekick. It's been a while since we got this game to the table, and when these arrived, it was just the perfect fit for this week. So we do have the Kickstarter exclusive promos, and we also have the Akihabara Web mini scenario. Now, this is published by Japanime Games here in North America. They did the English translation. It was originally published by Little Future over in Japan. Now, this is designed by Yusuke Emi. Now I'm going to toss it over to Julie, who will tell you more about the game itself. Speaking a little too fast there.
So this is a cooperative game. But it is also a review copy, so we'd like to thank Japanime Game for thinking of us. And we would like to remind everybody, though, that our opinions will remain our own.
Yes, they were very nice as they sent us a prototype, so they made sure to send us these the promos as well. And then we actually did pay for the Akihabara Web expansion as well as the playmat. So they sent us some of the stuff because we got the prototype, which was really nice of them.
Okay, thanks for the clarification, Jason. So it is, like I started saying, a cooperative game that is for 2 to 4 players for ages 12 and above. The box says 45 to 60 minutes. But I think we'll talk about that in the review.
Yes, our previous experience is depending on player count. You can definitely push that a little bit higher. Is this box going to give us that 45 to 60 minute time where there's a whole bunch of story to read? So we'll definitely get to that when we get to the review. We're all set up to take on the evil that is infecting Tokyo. So what will you do in this game? Well, in Akihabara Web, you will be playing through a specific scenario. You're going to have some scenario cards that you will reveal as you progress through the scenario. These will include your final enemy and some potentially cool story-specific upgrades that you're going to get. Other than that, you're going to be going through what you did in the original game. You'll be moving around Tokyo, trying to stop the incidents, defeating villains, and what is different about Akihabara Web is that you're going to defeat two villains, 2 super villains. They'll keep coming out until you at least have 2 of them defeated. You're not going to still have super villains come out when the menace is present. So once you defeat the 2 super villains, you're going to be going on with the story. So this is a very much a story-focused endeavor. You're going to need a smartphone or some type of device that will connect to the internet because that's where the story is. It's all online. It also has the instructions on how to set up the game. You will also need to pick specific characters. So we've got some of them right now. I have Oni, Haikyuu, and Elec Armor, and Julie just has Haruki Takamura. We did pick some of the other characters that went with the ones that we chose, and Julie picked one of her favorites. So there you go. So you got an idea as to what's going on in this mini expansion for the game, the first of these story expansions. Hopefully there'll be some more coming out. I think I've talked enough about it. Julie, did I miss anything?
No, I think it's time to grab our drinks.
Grab our best friend.
We're going to take it to the table one more time.
One more time. Let's take out 8-Bit Master and see what this story has in told for us. Now I'm going to take a quick look at the components for the Kickstarter promos for Tokyo Sidekick, as well as the Akihabara Web mini expansion. Now, you're going to see some stuff that is technically spoilers when we look at Akihabara Web, but you've got the acrylic standees, you've got the cardboard standees, so you're really going to see that very quickly once you start getting into the content. We'll start with the Kickstarter promos. So we do have the world creator. His skill as a game designer. You've got to read the rules. Now, that's his only special ability, and we do talk about this in the review. I'm actually doing this after the fact, just a little bit of spoilers behind the scenes. It's really not that much of a special power. However, his powers that you can see here are very strong. With his level 1 ability, -1 to the destruction gauge, it can really mean that the destruction gauge doesn't go up. So Help Me Hero, you can activate the ability of a hero in the same space as you, so you can use their ability. Works well with characters that are not a transporter, for example. And then, well, you could use his ability as well, but we'll talk about it in a moment. And then the last one, Do Over, says if the players lose the game, return the destruction gauge marker back up to 5, and each player may remove up to 5 damage from their hand. So you're going to get another chance. Having unlocked this ability would have been useful in one of our other games. However, you will notice he does not have a gadget to give to either of the sidekicks. Now here is the Aquilic standee. Really like them in this game. They look fantastic. We'll start with the Acrylic standee for the transporter. So that is Eric Price, who is based on the founder of Japanime Games. And world creator should be obvious, but it's based on Yusuke Emi, the creator of Tokyo Sidekick. So when you take a look at his abilities, you can give a card to another player character in the same space as the transporter. Now it's pretty cool if Paparine is there, you can give her damage. She can heal the damage. So it can be used in some fairly interesting manners depending on what's going on. Now, his abilities are fairly cool, but as you can see, he doesn't have a hero gadget. So expendables resolve an incident in the same space as the transporter and then draw a card. And you can resolve any incident with 2 S's. Mechanic, characters in the same space as the transporter use only 1 energy to resolve incidents. And when an incident occurs, you can move to that space immediately. Very strong character, has quite a bit of potential, but much like the world creator, pairs a lot better with other characters that can boost up their sidekicks. So we're going to take a look at Babelfish, who is based on Maisie Hatchard, who did the translation for Tokyo Sidekick. That's where her skill is, and I actually like this skill quite a bit. Works well for us Canadians. If you can translate an enemy's ability into another language, she does not suffer the effects. Can be very strong, in particular in Akihabara Web. Now we've got the Paparine, which is probably my favorite sidekick in the game right now, based on Heather, another one of the employees at Japanime Games that was instrumental in running the Kickstarter and getting us this game. You get to heal 1 damage from your hand, and then you may add +2 attack this turn if you do so. So she can always heal 1 damage, which is incredibly strong. Let's take a look at their standees. Really like them. The acrylic standees are something that I'm beginning to enjoy more and more. And in certain cases, I might actually prefer those over miniatures. I know, blasphemy. So those are the Kickstarter exclusive promos. Fun stuff. Let's move on to Akihabara Web. So you will get some cardboard standees as well as the acrylic standees. So you have a new sidekick character. Oh, and I'm dropping the new menaces as they're running out of my hands. Maybe it's because I actually don't like spiders. So there you go. Trying to get them out of my hands as soon as possible. You can see them in the acrylic version right now. So very cool. And I do appreciate that you actually get both of the standees forms, because it just makes it a lot easier for Japanime Games to deliver high-quality content. You don't have to buy a box and then buy the acrylic standees as well. We also get 2 special powers for certain heroes that are required in this scenario, such as Elec Armor and the Sidekick High Q. Now we've got a few different scenario cards. So you will get scenario card A, which is the trackball track, very important to the scenario. We do have, I'll just flip them over here. We do have a bad ending card. We do have the Great Weaver Evolved, the new Menace. We've got the new Sidekick, Prototype 001 trackball, the Great Weaver, and the other Menace. So these are what you're going to get, and this is the bad ending that you read if you lose the scenario. So like I said, a little bit of spoilers, but not really. You can see the content right there when you're getting set up. So there you have it. Just wanted to go over the components for these 2 expansions. Now keep it right here as Julie and I will be coming back at you with a review of the game. So Julie, we got it back to the table finally. Tokyo Sidekick. We got the mini expansion and the Kickstarter exclusives. What did you think of both of these different expansions for the game? And which one do you want to start with?
Let's start with the characters, because that's the first thing we played. Mm-hmm. So it's funny, when it came back to the table, I was like, I do remember how much I like the table presence with these acrylic standees. I mean, I have to mention it.
I'm just moving them around here. This is from the final battle against the villain of Akihabara Web. So yeah, we were all in Akihabara just beating up on them. But yeah, love these acrylic standees. I'm not going to back down. We won. Get down there.
So what I would say is I didn't love these characters, honestly. I know your character was a little bit broken.
Pupperine was really, really good.
But I didn't know. I just kept taking damage and damage and damage and damage. It just wasn't working for me.
No, I think we didn't get a good start in the game with these characters. But that being said, they do feel like Kickstarter exclusive characters with Kickstarter abilities that aren't necessarily balanced. And I don't know if it was a mistake, but there are no hero gadgets for the two heroes that are in this box. So for the Transporter and the World Creator, because I don't know why. And that's a big aspect of the game. I mean, we're playing Akihabara Web. I was able to give the Lightning Gauntlet to James Kuretani, which means that, my main ability, my main skill, power, is something that I can now use doubles for with another character. So that definitely seemed to make things more difficult. But the Transporter had some really cool abilities, as did the World Creator, especially at the end. He's able to reset the game, actually. So I do think that those abilities were a little broken, and they're trying to mitigate them just a little bit. I did like the ability for Pupperine, though, but it seemed a little ridiculous that you could heal 2 damage every turn automatically. So that was just ridiculously strong. If there's only one villain out, you're essentially going to heal that damage constantly. That'll still clog up your deck, but you'll be healing damage. And it gives you +2 attack. So one of the stronger sidekicks. And Babelfish's ability, if you can read the effect in a different language, which we can, we're in the French part of Canada, was pretty cool.
Yeah, but didn't use it all that much. Didn't come up to be able to use it all that much. So, like you said, maybe it was because it was our first gameplay back at it with these characters, and maybe we didn't play it to the best of our abilities. But I didn't love them.
I think they work better in 3 to 4 player game. I don't think they work good together. I could see the utility of the Transporter in this scenario we're currently playing.
Yeah. So then what we did, if we bring it to this.
I think we can move on. Fun Kickstarter exclusives. We're not really going to give them a rating because they came with the game. That being said, if you didn't get them, my opinion is you don't need to track them down. Would you agree?
Agreed.
All right.
So for the story, I said it at the beginning, it's apparently 45 to 60 minutes. It was a lot longer than that for this story.
Yes, and it says on the back 45 to 60 minutes for it as well. And the back of Tokyo Sidekick says 45 to 60 minutes. And I do find that Tokyo Sidekick, as you get more players, can take a little bit longer than 60 minutes, but with some practice and regular plays, it can probably get down to that amount of time.
Yeah, this
is longer because of the story.
Yeah, the story is extremely long. It took us over 2 hours to play this game, so it's not something you're going to play in 45 minutes. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not saying that it's not worth it. I'm just saying it is a lot longer than the 60-minute.
I think that also has a little bit to do with the presentation and the way things are laid out, and I do have some criticisms as to how you get the information for Akihabara Web. You do have to go online, and you're basically just scrolling through a website. Considering the fact that everything is point and click, I would much rather have had some more cards like this, so that you could just reference the cards, pass them around. You could even have people reading it while they're taking their turn. Now, having it online is fun as well, but if anything ever happens to the website's down, you will not be able to play the scenario. Luckily, you can just print it out, which is actually what we did, so that we have a copy of all the information in the box that we can use whenever we want.
Yeah, so fair warning, it is very, very story heavy. We just mentioned it. There's a lot of reading, some of them longer than others. Sometimes more, I would say, than even the Lord of the Rings game.
Not more than the Lord of the Rings game overall.
Overall, some sections.
Yes, there are definitely some chunks.
So that being said, you have to be able to appreciate that to appreciate this game.
This scenario, this mini expansion.
Yes. But it is when you bring back the original characters, I mean, I played Kayuka Girl, and she's lots of fun.
She's probably your favorite character.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of options, but she was a lot of fun, and I played the Grey Rabbit, who was also clutch at certain times. So it was. I mean, it was a lot of fun, and we played it, the way we remember how to play it, and it kept things under control.
Yes. A lot of people I know have difficulties with this game. Our biggest trick to this game is take out the villain as fast as possible, limit the damage. If you cannot get the villain down in 2 to 3 turns, essentially before the next villain comes out, you're going to be in trouble. And you want to do your best to have your characters spread out so that you can potentially jump to the next villain. And if you can keep them under control, you're going to start getting lots of good stuff coming your way.
Yep. I mean, I don't really have anything more to add about this. I mean, the story is interesting. There's a lot of it, and this is just a fun new story to a game that we like.
And I want to say I really admire the effort of bringing story into the world of Tokyo Sidekick, because you do have the issue 1 that gives you some details. There's a lot of backstory on the characters in the rule book. This is full of story. But as Julie mentioned, the presentation and the way that it is included in the game definitely needs a lot of work. I know that this was the first story expansion they've ever done for the game, so I give definitely some props and kudos that they were able to figure out a way to bring that element into the game when it didn't have it originally. I do like learning about the characters, and I thought it was really cool, the story. Also, very much a Japanese story. So if you don't like, anime, some storylines like that, this is about Japanese idols. It may not be for you, but the interaction between Oni and, drawing a blank here, Haikyuu was really good. I like learning a lot more about the characters, and it shows me how they can bring story into Tokyo Sidekick. I just think the presentation could have been a little bit better, and I would like to see more physical elements of that story. It would have been neat if some of the segments that you were reading would happen after an incident got resolved, because it would just give the story more progression, time is passing, as in you're working through the city day by day. Also, it would have been a lot easier to read a short chunk of story, or for example, something happens, okay, Julie resolves it, I'm reading on my turn, pass her the phone, or she's got her own phone, I'm doing my turn, she's reading 2 chunks of story. It could have just improved the flow of the game. And I think that's really where my biggest complaints are with regards to this mini expansion. Also, you don't really get any new heroes. You do get some new villains. And a little drawback that I have as well is there are no rules for how to incorporate the 2 menaces that you get, or how to incorporate the new sidekick. So I don't know if they're going to come back into play with a future expansion if you have this one, but I would have liked ways to include them into the base game content to add more variety as well. Now, I'm sure it can be done. It's just there's really no instructions for it here. See story elements, and that's really all you get. So, fun little expansion. It's not that expensive. If you're a fan of the game, I think you definitely need to check it out. But now we need to give it a score.
Go ahead. You go first.
So I'm going to give this a 7. It almost went down as low as a 6.5 in terms of an expansion, but I really enjoyed the story itself. I like the way that it brings a new element to Tokyo Sidekick, but it's very much on the verge of being a pass. There's just few little things missing that I mentioned, and I would have liked better presentation to include this into the game.
So I did go for a little bit lower. I'm going with the 6.5. Like I said, it's fun to have some new content. I just found it a little long in the story, and I was like, okay, I get it, move on. For me, it just wasn't. But like you said, I'm not the hugest fan. We've talked about I'm not the hugest fan of anime and stuff like that.
I lived in Japan. I get the culture, so it was more interesting to me. And as I mentioned, it's very much a Japanese specific cultural story. This isn't robbery gone bad or a hero's backstory. This is very much something that is Tokyo centric, which is great because it's Tokyo Sidekick, but it's not necessarily going to be for everyone.
So on that note, it's time to remind you to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we have some new content for you.
Take a look down below in the video description. You'll find links to all of our social media feeds, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you'd like to see pictures of Julie and I playing Tokyo Sidekick, this new expansion, or from way back when, we've got a lot of pictures on our feeds. Also down there's a link to multizone.ca, a great Canadian game store. Click that link. You'll get 10% off your next purchase. Make sure to check them out because it's a great way to support the channel as a portion of that purchase is returned to us. Then popping up in front of us will be links to some of our previously released videos. In front of me will be our most recent release. In front of Julie, it's going to take you back to our review and how to play of Tokyo Sidekick. On that note, we're now going to grab our drink, grab our best friend,
And we're going to keep playing games.
definitely going to keep playing this one. Hopefully we're going to get some more of these expansions because apparently there's a lot of them out in Japan. I mean, we could always pick those ones up, but I'd have to practice my Japanese translating skills.